Okay, so this is my term project final on Tom Mascaro and his inventions. So let's just jump right into it. Um, Tom Mascaro was born in Oakland Park, Florida. He had a childhood bout with polio that left him partly paralyzed. And he loved the game of golf, but he couldn't play much, obviously, because of his disabilities. Um, because he loved the game so much, he wanted to be involved with the manufacture and production of turf equipment. So he and his brother started a top dressing business. Now, this top dressing business helped to get him a foot in the door when it came to manufacturing actual turf equipment. So, that turf equipment. In 1946, he designed his first air fryer. It was an overnight success. He dubbed it the West Point air fryer, and it quickly became the standard for the golf course industry. Now, aerification is a process that makes slits or holes in the soil. These holes serve to relieve compaction, improve drainage, permit air and nutrients to reach roots, and as we all know, or should know, roots have the job of obtaining water, nutrients, and gases used during photosynthesis. Very important job. Now, soil compaction and poor drainage prevents the process from happening. This process is absolutely vital to photosynthesis. So you can't have that. No matter what you do, if you have poor soil drainage and compaction, all your other processes are going to be cost ineffective. You're just going to waste money dumping fertilizer and over irrigating if the soil is too compacted. So, earliest documentation of aerification is from all the way back in 1912. So it's not a new process. Everyone knew this, but at the time it was very time consuming and labor intensive. You had to either go out in your yard with a pitchfork and just walk around poking holes, or you'd use something else, a stick or something, just so you could relieve some of that compaction in the soil. But that was very time consuming. So Mascaro knew this, and he set to work on his West Point aerifier. Okay, adjust the camera a little bit there. So his original West Point aerifier was a spoon top aerifier. This means it had solid tines and they were mounted on a wheel. And a wheel would either be pulled behind a horse or a tractor. And what this means is as the wheel would roll along, the tines would enter into the ground at an angle and exit at an angle. Exiting at an angle disrupts the turf at the rear of the core hole, which means that you can't really use it on a green because it disrupts the playing surface. So obviously a lot of supers had issue using this aerifier on their greens. So Mascaro set about yet another solution. He designed the West Point FG1, and this machine was made from a converting printing press called a Rose Progrer, and they had it shipped all the way over from England. And it employed hollow tines, and this is very important. Hollow tines actually pulled material out of the ground as opposed to just mashing the dirt down into the ground. And these hollow tines entered and exited the ground vertically, which is huge for the turf industry. That means you could use it on your putting surfaces with little soil disruption. Now this aerifier was way less time consuming, way less labor intensive. You could operate it one man, and since then it's been pretty much the same. Mascaro sold his rights in 1970 to the West Point FG1, and now the aerifier is made by many companies, most notably, in my experience, Toro. Every course I've ever been to or worked at has used a Toro hollow tine aerifier. And these aerifiers can also be fitted with other tines, long needle type tines that do much the same job. They just don't pull cores out because they're not hollow. There's also variations on these aerifiers like the Hydrojet that use jet streams that shoot a high-powered, high-pressure stream of water down into the soil all the way to the root of the plant that allow water and air to get down there and alleviate some soil compaction. Now, that brings us to Mascaro's other big invention, which was the 1952 verticutter. Now, the verticutter was a horizontally oriented spinning shaft that had blades mounted along its length. Now, the blades were like, if you think of like a pizza cutter, blades like that. So as the reel spun, those blades would press into the soil and cut the horizontally growing shoots of grass like your stolons and rhizomes. And, you know, this is important because generally those blades are out of the range of the traditional rotary and reel type mowers. Wrong side. Lowering this blade allowed for subsurface contact and thatch removal. So that blade would press down in there and get some of the deeper growing blades of grass. Now this process not only alleviates thatch, but it smooths the surface. So it's great to do on your putting greens. And the plants do not grow at the same rate, so the verticutter removes faster growing objectionable plants, which, like I said, smooths your playing surface, which is, you know, huge. If you're a golfer, you want the ball to roll as smooth and true every time you putt. So this process must be used in tandem with, you know, your traditional reel and rotary type mowers. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of material left on the surface that the verticutter has just removed from the soil. So these are Mascaro's inventions. He left an indelible mark on the turfgrass industry. Obviously, these things are still in wide use today, so you have to give the man credit. He was very smart, and he revolutionized the golf maintenance industry. Thanks. That was it.